Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Immigrant Mom Show with Excel. It's another Thursday. Today's reggae day. I don't know if you saw the post where I said, today we're just going to have an informal chat about the organization, about myself. We're going to listen to some reggae music. We're going to talk about how you can get plugged in. So let's spend this time and just share. Let's invite people to join us. The more, the merrier, right? It's Thursday night. I would believe that we want to wind down, right? So please go ahead and share. Say hi when you come on. Let me share too. Hello. I can see there's three people. Say hi once you join. Let me know where you're watching from and do share. Long time no see. It's been 2 weeks already, guys. I'm trying to share. Hello. I'm trying here to share so we can have more people joining us. Miss Cameroon, we are here. Definitely Janet. Oh my goodness. I think my computer is trying to reboot. Technology issues are crazy, guys. Hello, thank you for joining. Where are you watching from? Jana, your comment is showing us the immigrant mom, so you might want to switch over to your name so we can see you. How's everybody doing? Let's have a few more minutes for people to join. Please go ahead and share to your group. That's what I'm trying to do now. Oops, for some reason. All right, guys. If we get lost because of some technology, I promise I'll be back. Sometimes we don't have control over these things, but we're just gonna roll with it. Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Welcome to the Immigrant Mom Show, the Immigrant Mom Power Show. Thank you guys for joining. Today we just want to chat. Hope you have your favorite drink with you. Share. You never know who will find this information useful. And we're jamming to some reggae. I don't know about you guys, but reggae and it's like it's that butter on my soul that suits everything. This week it's been really emotionally heavy. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but this week has been emotionally heavy for me, for most people. So, we're trying to take it easy. We're trying to make the most, you know, the hardest things of life teach us the best lesson, truly. When you go through a difficult time, that's when you learn the best lessons. And to me, what am I learning? I'm learning to enjoy myself. I'm learning that it's okay to do what you love. Because at the end of the day, right, nobody's going to leave this life. You have to give yourself permission to do what you love. You have to give yourself permission to have a good time, even if it's once a week, even if it's twice a week or twice a month. I would say. All right, thank you guys for joining. I'm happy to see you all. Please leave your name in the comment section. I want to do a shout out. You want to acknowledge you, share on your timeline about the immigrant mom. Who are we? What are we about? How can you be a part of this amazing organization? Let's give it a few more minutes. I'm waiting to see your comments. For some reason, I think there's a delay because I'm not seeing the comments in real time. But hopefully they'll trickle in. Until then, please enjoy some Itana. Guys, can you believe it that we're almost done with 2020? Like a joke. Rose, you can't hear it. Oh, Rose, you can't hear the song. Maybe it's too low. Let me see. We're just having a chill Thursday, guys. Just chill. Just chill and chat. How does that sound? Hi, Jimmy. Thank you for joining. I'm glad to have you here. How are you? Hi, guys. I am sorry for some reason. Technology issues. My computer decided to restart, but I'm here. At least I give you guys a heads up that that was going to happen. Can you imagine in the middle of, in the middle of the show, my computer would just be like, "It's time to restart." I'm like, "Are you crazy or what?" But anywho, we are here. Hopefully, everybody can join that was on, and we'll continue with our conversation. Mhm. Yeah, it's Thursday chill and chat. George, Jimmy, where are you watching me from? I'm glad to have you here. Today we're going to talk about the Immigrant Mom Organization. We're just going to talk about ourselves, a bit about what we do, who we are. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Did you share? Please go ahead and share so people can join. I was just talking about, the lessons that I have learned in 2020, guys. Let me just share from my heart with all of you. When this year started, I was all about, being intentional on creating meaningful relationships. I was like, 2020 will be the year where I'll be there for my friends, I'll be there for my acquaintances, and I was really going to be like, present at events and present, for things. Then the pandemic hit, and everything is virtual. And I'm like, what a year. I had to go back to look into, what my thought process in December? What was I thinking around that time? Like, is there anything that could have prepared me for for this year? And personally, things. You're in Minnesota. Yay! How's the weather? I hope it's not so cold. Thank you for joining. Hey guys, thanks for joining. Let me see your name in the comments so I can say hi. I was just trying to think what was my thought process in December 2019? Is there anything that could have prepared me for 2020? It's been tough because I just felt I've been living on the edge, the uncertainty of things. At the same time, too, just learning to appreciate life. Like I said, right? The hardest, your most difficult moments teach you the best lessons. Right? And I'm glad we're here. We're supposed to have a 2020, the Immigrant Mom Conference. We had our keynote speaker already, sorted out. We were gearing for it. Then the pandemic hit, but it was great because then we found out that we actually have this virtual platform where people can come on and talk about their story. And there are so many immigrant moms. Oh, just to believe. When things started, I had I did not understand how big of a vision it was. I just thought, well, there are other people who have questions me. Let's get together and get answers. But then I'm realizing how huge it is. Yeah, there's an immigrant mom in the White, the immigrant moms across the world. And those stories are stories that we want to hear. We want to hear what it means, to be an immigrant mom, your experiences and everything. Let's look at the reggae because these songs are too good for me to be enjoying by myself. Rose, can you hear it? Let me see your thumbs up. No? Can't hear it. Oh, you can't hear it maybe because another kind of woman. I right from all right, guys, without further ado, I could sing and I could listen to reggae for a long time, but let's just get into it. Let me talk to us about the immigrant mom, who we are about, the leadership. Now, you guys see me because I come on every Thursday to do the shows and talk about what's going on, but I'm not by myself. Yes, I'm not by myself. There's a leadership team that I work with that works with me that supports all the initiatives that we do, and I really just want to shout out to them. I have learned in 2020 that if you have a vision in this life and you abhor people, you can go far, because people, hello Miss Kenya, mwah, love you girl, thank you so much. People are at the heart of everything. If to you people are just a number, a dollar sign, it already tells me how far you will go. But if you genuinely care for people and put your heart out to love people, you can go far. Because again, God loves humanity. Trust and believe. The worst person that you can think about, God loves that person. So the immigrant mom is actually not just it's not just Excel. I wanted to bring up a PowerPoint to show you everyone that's been working tirelessly for this organization, and just to shout out to all of them for the great work that they've been doing, and also to let you guys all know that if you would love to join us in some way or form, we will gladly accept you. 1 second. Let me share my screen. Hello, guys. Thank you for joining. We're just chatting about the immigrant mom and who we are. All right. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see my screen, so I'm just going to end that slideshow there because I'm not sure if you can see, but let's. All right, so the Immigrant Mom Organization, who are we? What are we about? We are an organization put together for immigrant mothers across the world. I say this every time I come live to tell you about my story. And I made a whole video about it. You can find it on our timeline. I came first. I mean, before I became an immigrant mom, I was an immigrant lady. And trust and believe, I experienced firsthand loneliness. Oh, nobody tells you how lonely it gets for the immigrant. Like when you pick up your visa from the embassy and you're moving to that new country, you're excited about the opportunity, but I don't think you really contemplate things like what loneliness would mean. I used to be so lonely, guys. Like I would get into my apartment at that time. I was the only one. All my siblings were not here in the US with me. So I'll get into my apartment and I would be like, hey, I'm home. Like I'm announcing to my cheers, to my kitchen, to my bathroom. That's how lonely I was. And when I started this organization, I thought about the people who are also as lonely as I was back in 2014, that they would have a place that they could come and meet other people who are familiar with that struggle and just create a good network. Oh, your network is your net worth. I wish I could write it in the comments somewhere. Your network is your net worth. If you think that you don't need anybody, that's the first mistake that you make. Building good connections and good relationships would take you very far. So the immigrant mom actually came to life after I had my kids and, being so clueless. Any new mom will be clueless about motherhood, except, of course, she's been around kids. But to be clueless and an immigrant is double cluelessness, if I can say that, because, I'm having to work twice as hard about the things that I don't know. And that's how the immigrant mom started, because, we just want to come together, share our stories, learn from our moms who came here with little kids who are now adults. What did they do to succeed? All right, guys, let me tell you about our leadership team. And the first person I want to give a shout out to is Luta. I hope you're watching. Hopefully, you can catch on. But this lady is phenomenal. Yes, Jennifer, you're so right. Your network is your net worth. This lady is phenomenal, guys. And I just want to say thank you, Luta. She is the founder of Tribe Strong, and she's our volunteer coordinator at the Immigrant Mom. Believe it or not, I put out a post saying I needed someone who could coordinate our volunteers. And she, opted right away. We talk like we have met, but we haven't. We walk together like we have met, but we have built that relationship. And I'm so grateful and so thankful to have a sister who partners with me, guys. Like when you have a vision, right? You have to honor the people that identify with your vision and walk with you, because not everybody will. And you cannot just use people as a stepping stone. The mindset, that opportunistic mindset, will never take anyone far. And so today I'm really just paying homage to these people. Homage in the sense, I mean, they're alive, but homage in the sense of I'm acknowledging the sacrifice. So Luta is our volunteer coordinator, as well as Chinelu. I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story. Thank you, Chimi. I appreciate it. So my little sister is a couple years younger than I am. And when she was much younger and all my friends would come over to the house, my little sister would come and sit with my friends and try to make conversation like they were her friends. And now she's a little older and I want to be young. So guess what I've done? It's payback time. I'm making all her friends my friends. So Chinelo is my little sister's very good friend. And Chinelo is now my little sister whom I so love. Sister Chim, thank you so much for, every time we say there's an event, they come on, they partner, they like, what can we do? And so Chinelo and Luta are volunteer coordinators. If you want to join the volunteer team, what's the volunteer team going to be doing every time we have a project? Did you attend our DJ Chinelo? Who is typing this DJ Chinelo thing? I think it's Miss Kenya. So yes, Chinelo was our DJ in our last our last virtual party. So every time we have some kind of outreach event, they are in charge of getting the volunteers together. If you're interested, if you're passionate about being a volunteer in any capacity, we have projects that are coming up. We have our annual conferences that will need volunteers. We have our summer outreach programs that we're going to need volunteers. We're going to have quarterly baby showers that we're going to need volunteers. So you can reach out to Chinelo or you can reach out to Luta. And I just want to say thank you, girls, for the amazing work that you are doing. Thank you so much for locking arms with me. All right. We have a social media manager. She's in India, so I don't think she'll be online to hear me give out. Look, I didn't tell this women, right, that what I was going to do, the PowerPoint I was going to create. I just wanted to come out to give them a great shout out. Everything you see on our Facebook page, it's our social media manager who's posting them. Most of you have interacted with her because she takes care of it. Sometimes you cannot do it all. Let's just be honest. When you have that vision that is bigger than you, that's how you know that God's in it. And when it's bigger than you can't do everything. You have to learn to delegate. You have to learn to trust other people, to bring up their best skills so that the vision can move forward. And that's what Divya has been doing for us. Divya does all a media post. She sends me reports. Great work, and shout out to you, Divya. Thank you. You're such an asset to our to the Immigrant Mom organization. And if anyone would like to partner with her, if the media partnerships, she's a person to contact. She works hand in hand with my very own little sister. Yes, my very own little sister. She's one of the media coordinators as well. She says she's grown, but she would always be my baby at the end of the day, right? Because I prayed for this child. I was the only girl for a couple of years. I still have three brothers. So my older brother, there's me, and then there's a younger brother and another younger brother. Then God heard this girl's cry. God needed to hear me because I knew that, I need to have that woman that stands by my side. Like most of the ideas that we see out here are always hashed out in our informal conversations about what will happen. And I just want to thank you. You're my little sister, but you're a leader in your own right. And you still submit to me, not just as your sister, but as your leader. And I really appreciate it. The length at which you go. If you guys watched our 2019 conference, she was out there registering, the people running errands back and forth. And I want to just say thank you to Benjamina, our media coordinator. Another person recently joined our leadership team, and her name is Denise. Denise, I hope you are watching. Thank you so much. We just welcomed her into our team, a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago. So she's going to be working with Benjamina, and Divya for all our media related things. Thank you so much, Denise. We appreciate your presence, and we know that you're bringing so much value to the team. We can't wait to see what that's about. All right. Shout out to Mrs. Fern Bernice. Thank you so much. Yeah, Benjamina is the Benjamin like you, the spoiled Benjamin. I won't go much into that. Let me not put up all her. Let me not put up her ish on the worldwide media. All right. So Bernice, thank you so much, girl. You have a lot going on. Bernice is she's a coach. She also works within surgery. I cannot even attempt to call that name because I'm not about to disgrace myself, but it has to do with anesthesia. Okay, you guys get it. So Bernice locks arms with me as our sponsorship and grants coordinator. What do? We search out for sponsorships, for grants. We have just applied for our 501c3, the Immigrant Mom. So we'll be able to get sponsorships. And I'll tell you guys why later on we need those sponsorships, because of the kind of programs that we're working on. Thank you, Sister Wele. Thank you so much. So if you have any ideas on sponsorships and grants, she's the person to reach out to. I'm the person. You can reach out to me as well. We want to, work with people that have experience in writing grants, because your experience would be great. Thank you so much. All right, let's talk about Miss Kenya. This one, I call her Miss Kenya. And guess where we met? We met at the workplace. Guys, it's so important to value relationships. Like, I cannot overstate it. I who makes good friendships at work? But I met this woman and I shared with her the immigrant mom, and she was like, yes, she'll be a part of it. She keeps me straight. She starts asking me questions. Is it a membership organization? What are the bylaws? And I'm like, wait, Miss Kenya. I call her Miss Kenya. She's from Kenya. But thank you, Janet. I really appreciate you. I'm telling you now, I know you're watching. I'm saying in front of everyone how grateful I am, how grateful the immigrant mom is of all the ideas that you bring forth. She's the events and outreach coordinator. So every time we have an event, if there's something we're planning, she works on it with my sister that I'll be introducing in a bit. So they take care of all of that. I'll talk more about the kind of events in the next slide. Thank you, Janet. I love you. I really do. Thank you. Last but not the least, on our leadership team is my very own sister. Now we talk about the darnest things and laugh about the weirdest things. People think that, her husband is my in-law, but actually it's the other way around. Her husband is my first cousin and she's my sister in love. But we're so close, you can barely tell the difference. And that's how much I appreciate you. However busy you are, I just need to text you and you're right there. Thank you so much for everything that you pour into the immigrant mom. She and Janet are our events and outreach coordinators. They'll be in charge of how can we get our community more involved, not just the community in the US, because we're looking to expand in Canada, in Australia, in Cameroon, wherever there are immigrant moms. So they're in charge of that. And I just want to also give a big shout out to my husband. Yes, I cannot shout out to everyone and not mention a man who stands by me through thick and thin. They say behind every strong woman is a stronger man. A man who recognizes my capabilities, a man who is not threatened by whatever I do, who supports me unconditionally, who tells me even when I want to give up, you should keep going. There's value in what you do. Priceless. I'm a very private person. I try to be. So I would not over talk about him or, put up our business on social media because, again, it's not about us. It's about the community. But he's a great, great husband, great supportive friend, great father to our children. And I love you, babe. Thank you. He says he's my number one fan. All right, guys. Programs and events. What do we have coming up? So the immigrant mom, but for the pandemic, we should have had our 2020 conference. That would have been awesome, I know, but that's fine. Everything happens for a reason. We're going to be having the 2021 conference. So now is the time. If you have any speakers in mind, don't be shy. Lift up your hands. If you have a story that you would want to share. Thank you, Chini. Thank you so much. If you have a story you would like to share, if there's some things that you think the brother immigrant moms should know, please send an email to info@theimmigrantmom.com. We want to hear it. So we're making plans. If you want to be in the volunteer team, I have gone through, all the people that we're working with, and the pictures and this slide will be on our Facebook page, so you can look them up. One of the other things coming into 2021 will be quarterly baby showers. As often as we can get together, the better, right? So that we can encourage each other, we can love on each other. You're not alone. Remember, we're trying to build that family that you would have had if you were in your home country. So we're going to be planning on quarterly baby showers. If you know that you're 6 months and above, by a certain quarter, you would register with us and we'll come and, get as many gifts as we can for you and just celebrate with you. One other thing that's really strong on, leadership's mind is a summer cultural event. One thing an immigrant mom would worry about would be her culture dying away. The fact that most of our generation does not know that culture as much as our parents knew it. And so if you don't know your culture, you should well be worried about what you're even going to pass on to your children. They are born in America. For most people, they can't even send those kids back home. But, we're going to create a cultural event. For example, if we're going to be attending to Bamileke children, Yoruba children, children from Asia, and we just identify like five. Thank you, Asheri. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. So we're gonna identify like five different cultures and get teachers, right? That will teach during those summer programs, and we can teach about the history of that culture, maybe the language, the food, and just activities around that. This is in the pipeline. We are still brainstorming on how we can expand this and make it worth the while. We have the bi-weekly online Immigrant Mom Show. All of you know about it because I've been on here consistently since the pandemic started every other Thursday. And we're encouraging immigrant moms. Your story is good. Believe in the validity of your story, because someone else might need to hear what your experience was in order for them to overcome a hurdle that they're currently facing. So never be ashamed of your story. Your story is your story. We're inviting moms with teenagers. Talk to us about the difficulty that you had in raising a teenager in America. We're inviting moms whose children may be dealt with drugs and is still in drugs or are out of drugs. What advice do you have to share? Sex trafficking, sex education, just about anything. Approach us, the leadership, anyone, and say you have a story to share. We will put you on schedule. We want to hear your story. And then we have the Immigrant Mom Nanny Referral Program. It used to be Mom Baby. Now is the Immigrant Mom Nanny Referral Program. And the way it works, we invite nannies, people who are looking for work in the U.S. as a nanny. We vet them for as much as we can. And then, we recommend them to families that are looking for nannies. Now, let me say this because a lot of people have contacted me recently since I did the nanny talk that we are actually short on nannies. I have about 5 families that are waiting to be staffed. But, with the borders closed and people not traveling, thank you, love. Thank you. Appreciate it, Jules. Thank you. With people not traveling, it's it's harder to find those nannies. So if you know anybody in your community, your auntie, someone who loves to take care of children and is looking for a job, please refer them to the Immigrant Mom. We have a form we send out, and then we get their information, and it's great. So with that said, guys, that's the Immigrant Mom in a nutshell. Thank you for staying through and listening. But we have a guest, and she has to tell us her story. Something about preeclampsia, a topic that many people don't know about, but a lot of Black women face. Let me bring her on so she can tell us more about it. Hi, Rosie.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Glad to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. I will just let you introduce yourself so we can just talk about what your experience with and what is preeclampsia. Just tell us everything.
I am Rose Bisson, and I've known Estelle for, let's just say we go way back when we used to share a dorm. That should be
Yeah.
probably about ninth grade back home in our former secondary school or middle school, as it's referred over here.
Mhm.
So my experience, it's one of those experiences that make you look at the child and thank God you're still around to have them with you.
So what's preeclampsia? Before we even, get into your experience, for those who don't know, what is it and why should we care?
Preeclampsia in layman's terms is a medical situation that arises. It's basically having high blood pressure while pregnant. It's like having a mine in your body, but you never know what can trigger it. If you have high blood pressure, it's the usual headache, the jittery nerves, the ice pinch feeling that it's like someone is breaking your feet, your hands, the back of your neck. You're always exhausted. The slightest exertion makes you really tired. You get headaches, you get nausea, you get blackouts. There's just no one way to actually figure out what's going on with you without medical help.
So what was your experience like? What happened?
Interestingly, I have three girls, 8, 4, and currently 3. My first two baby, I had all vaginal births, no epidural. I know exactly what was expected of me. At least with the second pregnancy, I knew how my body responded. So by the second pregnancy, let's say I was a pro understanding what was going on with my physical body. I knew what to expect and I knew exactly when things went sour. When I had the third baby, I had an uneventful pregnancy. The worst thing that happened during the pregnancy was I was driving one day and I blacked out while driving. And from that time, I was about 5 months pregnant. And from that time till I had the baby, I was forbidden from driving. And I had my husband drive me everywhere. I was in school taking 18 credits, 24 credits. I was trying to graduate. I graduated magna cum laude with 7 months long pregnancy, and I was put on total bed rest. So basically, my pregnancy was uneventful. July 3rd, I went into labor, but I knew what was happening. Everything was fine. I checked into the hospital. I didn't even ride in the ambulance. I went into the hospital, had the baby. There is this, for moms who've had this process, there is this feeling of relief that overwhelms you once that baby slips out, if you know what I mean.
Right, right.
When this baby slipped out, I didn't feel my body return to me.
Hmm.
When I had the first one, I was up in 20 minutes. My makeup was done. I was dressed and ready to go. What's next? When I had the second baby, took me an hour. Myself was back. I was ready to go. When I had the third baby, I just could not catch my breath.
Hmm.
I felt like there was an elephant on my chest. It wouldn't wake up, it wouldn't leave, it wouldn't move. They propped the head of my bed. My blood pressure was fine. Bleeding was normal. The baby was perfect. I just could not catch my breath. It took everything in me to draw a breath. And I told the nurses, I'm not feeling okay. They're like, give it some time. Give it some time. I
Hmm.
needed assistance to the bathroom. I got discharged and everything was fine.
Even though you couldn't still catch your breath, they still
Yeah,
discharged you.
I got discharged. I was fine. My blood pressure was fine. Well, the normal expression was, it took you 9 months to get here, so don't expect to bounce back in 3 days.
Mm.
At the back of my mind, I had this feeling something is not right. But I was discharged. My vitals were normal. What more can I impress on? I came home. I could not, if the baby was in her cot and all dressed up, all fancy. If the baby is crying at night, I had no energy to wake up and pick up that baby.
Oh
Either my
wow.
mom or husband has to bring the baby to me. If I want to go to the bathroom, if I don't hold onto something, the room spins and I'll black out.
Hmm.
I had a three-pronged process to stand up from the bed. I sit up, put my feet down, wait for the room to stop spinning, then I stand up, wait for the room to stop spinning, and then I hold and feel things all the way to the bathroom. The first time I knew something was seriously wrong was the day after I came home, or maybe that same day. I went to have a bath. I leaned forward to scrub my feet, and the bathroom flipped. That's what I knew. That's what I
Oh
understood. The
wow.
bathroom flipped. And then my mom rushed into, my mom was near me. My husband had the baby. If my husband is not near me, my mom is near me. So they came and they made me on the floor. But to me, the world was perfectly upright.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "What are you doing on the floor?" I'm like, I'm trying to take a bath. She's like, "You're lying on the floor in the shower." I'm like, "No." I said, something happened, but I don't know what. My mom got me out of the bathroom and she's like, "Okay, henceforth, we're going to do bed baths. Or we're going to use the sink and use the washcloth, but you're not getting in the shower again." The following morning, I woke up to brush my teeth. I mean, I feel like I had the energy to. I jumped out of bed, went to the bath, to the
Did you
sink.
have any headaches at this point? That heaviness in your chest, you still had it?
Well, I couldn't lift my arms. They felt laden. It felt like I was carrying a heavy load on my shoulders. I couldn't lift my arms, and I knew for a fact I couldn't breathe deep. I took it easy. It would take 9 months for myself to regain myself, so I was not really alarmed. I
Mhm.
went to the bathroom to brush my teeth, and I felt like the mirrors were moving. So I closed my eyes, and that was it. When I opened my eyes, my husband was lifting me up. And I was like, why are you lifting me up? And everybody was just looking at me like, what's wrong? Apparently, I had passed out for like 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
The last thing I remember was I was brushing my teeth and I felt the mirror move. So I closed my eyes to kind of what's going on. And that's all I felt. So my husband came to check on me after taking care of the baby. And that's when he found out I was passed out in the bathroom. So when I woke up, I realized this is twice in less than 3 days I'm passing out.
You
So
guys
I,
didn't go to the hospital at that point?
it was at that point that I told my husband, I said, honey, I don't feel good. I've tried. I mean, if the baby is crying, and even if I'm lying on the bed and the baby is next to me, if you don't bring that baby to my boobies, I cannot breastfeed that child because my arms hurt to lift anything. If I pass out brushing my teeth with my arms like this, imagine what it felt like carrying a baby. I couldn't move from the bed to the living room. I couldn't. Talk less of carrying the baby. I couldn't. I couldn't take off my underwear on my own because it meant leaning over, which was a no-no.
Right.
The only thing I could do was lie in bed, and it hurt because I felt inadequate. What
Right.
did I do wrong? What could I have done differently while pregnant? Why am I feeling this way?
So
And
you felt guilty.
I felt really bad. I couldn't wash myself as a woman, and you're bleeding and you have all this fluid. I couldn't wash myself without assistance because I get too tired, too winded to do it. On the fourth day,
Mhm.
I told my mom and my husband, we need to go to a hospital. In fact, during the baby's for that thing after 3 days, you have that follow-up appointment.
Right.
We had to go to a hospital. I had the baby July 4th. I moved from Austin to Houston July 6th. 1 second. Bella, to the room and be quiet.
That's what happens when you're a mom.
Be quiet. I moved to Houston July 7th. So for the baby's first appointment, July 8th, we needed to drive back to Austin
In that
because
condition.
yes, it was expedient that we moved. We were hoping. Remember from knowing me behind the scene, we had just moved from Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
So it's not like we had everything figured out. I moved, graduated, and I needed to have this baby. So my insurance hadn't kicked in and was going to take forever. And it was just a whole of bureaucratic red tape. So we had to drive back to Austin. That's a 2-hour drive. What could go wrong? I was all dolled up. I got in the car. We got a rental because I was feeling fancy. I didn't want to drive my mom's car because I felt like it was too cramped. I wanted to lie down because sitting was very exhausting. So I wanted to be able to lie down and just
Right.
comfortable near the baby. So we rented a car. Husband drove to Austin for the baby's checkup, not my checkup. The baby's checkup. Baby was perfectly fine. The pediatrician asked me, Mom, since you walked in, you look very tired. What's going on? Are you stressed by the baby? I know here I've had the same pediatrician since the first baby. So he kind of
Mhm.
knows me. He's like, you look different. What's going on? And I said, I don't feel good. Since I had this baby, this is how I've been feeling. and he took my blood pressure. And then he looked at me. He's like, tell me again what you're feeling. And I said, well, I've been feeling this way. I passed out. And he said, oh, it's a good thing you're here with your husband because I'll suggest you go to the hospital right now. I'm like, why? He said, I'm a pediatrician. I do not want to opine on OBGYN issues, but I would strongly advise you go see a doctor right now. He said, I might even be tempted to tell you I'm going to call 911.
Oh, wow. That's serious.
He said, how are you feeling? Well, other than the headache, the pain in my neck, like, you know, when you've been reading for so long,
Right.
the pain in my neck, I can't lift my arms, and the fact that I can't carry the baby, and I can barely walk, and I'm still sore. I'm okay. This doctor called 911, and they came and he told them what he said, and they
Mhm.
took my blood pressure. It was 210, and I think 210 on 134, 140.
Whoa.
Like, okay, that's high, but it still did not ring a bell.
Right.
I got to the hospital, the same hospital I had the baby in, City Medical in Austin. They took me straight to L&D because they
Mhm.
said she had a baby 3 days ago. What's going on? This is her blood pressure. And everybody was looking at me. How are you still moving around? Why are you having this blood pressure and you're still moving around and you're talking? And I said, what's going on? So the doctor who delivered me came to me and she said, ma'am, we are going to put you on kind of lockdown. We need to knock you out right now. Your blood pressure is unreasonably and unrealistically high. We cannot tell why, but you're presented with symptoms of postpartum eclampsia. So I asked her, what is postpartum eclampsia? She basically said, having high blood pressure after baby. You should have had this while pregnant, but for some reason, something triggered this reaction to your body after the baby. But for your sake and the baby's sake, we need to knock you out. I'm like, wait, so you're going to put me in a coma? She said, no, we're going to put you on continuous IV fluid of magnesium sulfate until we can bring down your blood pressure. And then after that, we'll see what we can do. But in the meantime, there is no medication you can take to help the baby since you're fully breastfeeding. And this is what we expect is going to happen to you. You will be
Now,
knocked out. You will hear everything, but you cannot move.
this is crazy. Crazy in the sense that, a lot of people listening may have experienced something like this. Some people live to say the story, others don't.
And we were supposed to just spend a few hours. I brought one chain, one set of. I was just wearing what I was wearing. You know, I'm a new mom. I'm breastfeeding. I'm not trying to look cute and sexy. Something I can easily breastfeed in, a change of clothes for the baby, and just enough similar to last the journey and back. But within 1 hour of getting into the hospital, I was out. I was out. I remember doctors coming in, nurses coming in. My eyelids felt like the only way I can describe that feeling is like being covered with a wet blanket.
Mm.
That's the only way I can describe the feeling is being covered with a wet blanket. If you've ever experienced being underwater, it's like you can't move your eyelids. I couldn't move a finger. I couldn't move, but I could hear. I couldn't feel. And the breast milk was just spraying. They said it was, as a mother, they understood the need for me to breastfeed. So what happened was, when it's time for the baby to breastfeed, move. When it's time for the baby to breastfeed, they'll prop up my bed with my eyes locked. I just feel the bed moving. Sometimes I couldn't tell if I was dreaming or
Yeah.
if I was awake. They prop the head of my bed up and they'll hold the baby to my breast. Either a nurse will be doing it or my husband is doing it every 2 hours because the milk was just flowing. And the baby probably felt being held awkward by a man or someone. The baby is not snuggling as she should. So
Right.
she would cry and cry and cry, but mommy could not lift her arms to snuggle her. And that was what was really heartbreaking because I could hear my baby cry. She was barely a
Mm.
week old, but I could not move to save her life. And there's only so much husband could do.
Right.
He was taking care of me. He insisted on caring for me personally, but then he's stuck with a baby that the baby is crying 24/7. So I told him, have the nurses take the baby back to the nursery. Only bring the baby when it's time to breastfeed. That way you can rest.
What did the doctors say triggered all of this? Did they ever, like,
Hormones,
hmm
there was really no, a trigger was not pinpointed. At best, it was just my hormones going haywire. I spent 10 days in that hospital in that mood.
10 days?
My blood pressure would not go down. I spent 10 days vacillating between, am I dreaming? Am I awake? You see a panel of doctors standing in front of you and they're telling you if it's a yes, blink twice. If it's a no,
Oh
blink
my
once.
goodness.
And I'm like, wait, what? And in my head, I'm like, but I can hear you. What are you talking about? And then I realized that, wait, this is not what they see. I tried to move my finger and I couldn't move. And I looked over at my husband and I'm talking with my eyes, but he's looking at me like,
Oh my goodness.
and then my mom came on day 4 because she was just crying. My dad was crying. Everybody was crying. Like, what is going on? Why is she this way? She just had the baby. The baby was fine. She was nursing. At one point, the milk stopped flowing. They put her on formula. She spent most of her time in the nursery because I just was not awakened. I couldn't, by day 9, my blood pressure became within range,
hmm
but it was still on the high side of normal. That's the best they could do for me.
You know what? I'm glad to hear you share this story, because even for me who has had 2 kids, I never really understood post eclampsia. Like, I have had a few people talk about it, how they blacked out, how they almost died. What would you share with any woman, any immigrant mom who is pregnant now to watch out for as she's having her baby, or even her spouse, so that they're not blindsided?
Your body is like a computer, it remembers. If at any point in time, don't be afraid to speak up, ask uncomfortable questions, and demand for those answers to be explained to you in a language you would understand. If not for the benefit of being close to medical words or medical environment, there were certain things that were glossed over when I was
hmm
pregnant or
hmm
during delivery. It was glossed over. It was enshrouded in, you'll fine, you'll feel better. But then when this happened, and I asked the doctor, how did I get discharged when all this sensations and all this feeling never went away? And the doctor said, you should never have been discharged in the first place. Even though your vitals appeared normal, but the fact that you said you were not feeling fine, they should have kept you for observation at least for 2 more days. They would have picked up something.
Right.
In
And
hindsight, I could have insisted. What I'll tell mothers, especially if you've had a child before, if you've never had a child before, it's hard for you to know what to look out for. But
right.
if you've had a child before, trust me, your body remembers. When something is off, you would know immediately something is off. If you push that baby out and you cannot catch your breath, please insist on being kept in the hospital. If you push that baby out and you cannot take a simple trip from the bed to the bathroom by day 3, when you need to leave, please reject the discharge. Nothing is going to happen. They're not going to throw you out. Nothing's gonna happen. In fact, it will escalate until whoever needs to talk to you comes talk to you.
But now, let me just, I don't know about the medical procedure here in the US, and I wish we had someone, or if you can talk to it, that would be great. When you insist to stay, how do you get the doctors to say, check my blood pressure, give me the magnesium that I need, or look into this? Because sometimes they'll keep you there like you're on bed rest, right? But then you would still be suffering from the ailment.
Right. It's easy for me to know what to look out for because now I know better, and my
Right,
exposure in the medical setting exposed me to know how this cascade of escalation on authority works. At best, if you don't feel good, tell them you're not ready to be discharged. That will open the door for somebody else to talk to you. If they cannot make you see reason, they'll take it a notch higher, and they'll keep climbing until they get to worst case scenario. If you need to talk to the director of the LNZ, so be it. Share from the heart. This is how you're feeling. I've never heard of magnesium phosphate sulfate before. I know I never heard of it. But the feeling that it leaves in your body while you're on treatment is not a feeling you want to wish on anybody else. It was after this experience that I learned pre-eclampsia, postpartum eclampsia affects women of my kind, women of my race, women of my color, or women that are not like me. It was after my experience that I learned we are at a higher risk of such conditions than our partners.
right,
And I asked myself why. And there's this silo that, we like medication, we're enjoying the service, or
mm,
we're faking it. I don't know any mother who wants to fake what I felt.
right,
If I have that baby and I've popped it out after 9 months and of pushing and throwing up for 6.5 months, honey, I want to be dressing up my baby and taking selfies, not staying in the hospital. You can't breathe. The elephant, it's very easy to tell that elephant, that weight on your chest will not go away. You can't fake it. That elephant on your chest will not go away. The migraines will not go away. The feeling of exhaustion on your shoulders, the back of your neck will not go away. The constant feeling of feeling like ice particles being dropped
mhm,
on your feet and it moves up. Usually, when I feel that sensation of maybe I stepped into hot cold, 1 second I'm freezing, next second I'm burning hot. If I feel the ice chills or fire burn from my feet, if I'm not sitting down by the time it gets to my chest, I'm out. You cannot ignore it. Sometimes you feel like pinpricks on your in your palms, on your feet, and the pinpricks climb up as they come to your head. I'm out. You cannot you cannot not feel these things. If you've had a baby and you feel this thing, something is wrong. If you get tired at the slightest exertion, be it trying to stand out of bed, picking up the baby, or lifting anything over 5 pounds, please call your OBGYN and go back. Don't wait. Don't
right.
say, let's see what happens in 3 days. You might sleep and not wake up. I don't know how I made it to day 4 and 5 and then endured a 2 hour drive to the next town. But I guess God wasn't done writing my story.
Wow, really, really powerful. Thank you so much for sharing. Chimi says it's true. I tell every expecting mom I know to get a doula. We're almost at the hour, so we're going to wrap up. But Rose, I just really want to say thank you. That we as immigrant moms, some things we may not be familiar with. You see, she had 2 kids before this one experience. So sometimes we think that we're pros at it. We think, well, I'm going in for the third. What could be different? And then you don't know that every single delivery is unique on its own. We have
Mhm.
to be our best advocate. You need to be able to share videos like this with your partners. If you're pregnant and you're watching this, or you should share this video with anybody who is pregnant and an immigrant mom, that we should not let the lack of knowledge be the reason why we're crying. Do you have any parting words you would like to share, Rose, before we wrap it up?
Um, for some mothers, after a treatment or a therapy of magnesium sulfate, their blood pressure is able to return to normal. For those of us whose blood pressure is not able to return to normal, let's say a range of 120 to 80, 70, I am on the high side since then. I'm skating 120 or 90. That's my new normal. As a result, I've had to make lifestyle changes. Take
Mm.
out the salt, take out the red meat. I don't do alcohol, but I'm not staying totally away from it because I love me some margaritas. But I had to take away the salt. I did not need a wake up call. I also did not go cold turkey on the salt because it's gonna make your headache worse. But over time, it took me 6 months to be able to sit and have a meal with no salt. If you come to my house, I'll serve you a meal. It might taste bland. Honey, I've had to make those changes. My kids now eat food with no salt. Husband eats food with no salt, and we're good. On good days, if I eat, I'm African. It's hard for me to eat fast food. Number one is sodium being cooked. So if I eat a burger, I'm gonna have a headache in 30 minutes or less. I can't do pizzas. I don't like how it smells. I don't like how it tastes. If I'm starving and the pizza is nearby and I eat a slice of pizza, I need 25 minutes to start having a headache. That tells me my blood pressure just shot up because of the salt.
Wow.
If I've become very sensitive to salt. Red meat, I love me some barbecue. I love me some soya. But when I do that, I try to drink some water, or just try to eat lots of leafy greens and vegetables, to balance it out.
Right, right.
You have to make those changes. Otherwise, you find yourself in your early 30s, in your early 20s, whatever age range you find yourself, you're going to be on blood pressure medication for the rest of your life. I'm not on blood pressure medications, and I want to keep it that way for as long as I live.
Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you for sharing your story. We are so glad you are here.
It's an
Hopefully,
honor.
we would have a broader discussion. I think that the few minutes we had to hear your story is just an introduction to us for us to have this topic on a broader scale. Because, like you said, I'm getting an echo. Like you said, this is a condition that affects our kind, and we need to be educated. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Until 2 Thursdays ahead. Stay blessed and have a great weekend.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.